All right. First and foremost, I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who is worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing the truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and full of the gospel. It's Brother Gabari from the Indiana camp coming back at you again with another sit down. All right, and we're gonna I'm gonna entitle this video reviewing the movie Sinners. Reviewing the movie Sinners. All right, I just got done watching it. All right, it's the new, it just came out with the 18th. All right, and it has some spiritual points in it. All right, I seen the brothers from Chicago they had did a review on it. They had did a video on it. I talked to Brother Shamaria, from the Gary, Indiana camp. We had spiritual discussion about it. We talked about little points. He brought out some things I didn't even noticed in it. It hits a it's a real spiritual movie. It gets kind of how can I say it? I'm not trying to spoil it, but I will bring up some points in the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, I grant you to probably go watch it first, then come back to the video. But in the movie, it had some, it does take a turn, that I wasn't expecting, towards the semi end of the movie, but one thing I've noticed in the movie, though, the movie is called Sinners. All right, but and it takes place in a club. All right, I found that very spiritual, and it basically showed that what the Spirit of the Lord was on Apostle Tahar for banning clubs a long time ago. Because then it shows you what type of spirits and what type of mindset people be in those clubs, man. And it's a bunch of sinners. They're in there. They're not in there to just have a good time, listen to music, throw back a few drinks or whatever. No, I mean, yeah, they do those things. But what else goes on in those clubs, man? A whole bunch of adultery, man. A whole bunch of adultery. And it shows you that in the movie, man. A woman that was married, she committed straight adultery. People were partaking in intercourse in the back. It was just a whole bunch of just wild stuff going on. And that's why the Spirit told Apostle Tahar a long time ago. He said, "Hey, brother, stay out them clubs, man. Stay out them harlot houses. Stay out them raves. Stay out of, really just stay out the public in general, man. Especially the clubs. All right." Because all people do when they go there, the mindset that people have when they go there is to try to leave with somebody. All right, try to find somebody, because that's what the men go there to try to get with women, and women go there to try to drink and feel loose and feel free. Whether they got a man at the crib or not. So you don't know what you're getting yourself into when you go to those places, man. So it's best for you not even to go to them. Don't even go there. All right. So, that's one thing that stood out for me, first and foremost. The movie is called Sinners, and then it takes place in a club, in a juke, how can I say what I'm trying to exactly remember what did they say in the movie? A juke spot, or whatever. But another spiritual aspect in the movie, like I said, I'm not gonna go through, the entire beginning to the end movie because I don't wanna, it'll be too long, but I'm gonna hit the main points that I seen throughout the movie. But one main point that I seen very spiritual was never trust thy enemy, man. All right, because it was a spiritual point where Esau came. It was 3 Edomites who came to the club, and they were trying to get in. They were trying to get in. They were trying to fellowship, partake inside, and just be a part of the communion. But they weren't invited in, and because they weren't invited in, they tried to persuade, they tried to use money, they tried to get in through them doors. But Jake wasn't allowing it. Jake was like, "No, you ain't coming in here," And then it was a speckled bird. It was a woman who looked like an Edomite that was in there, but she really was an Israelite. So she wanted to go give them like a chance, like, let me go see what they about, So she went out and went to go like check up on them, and found out that, they weren't about no good. They were some demons. They were demonic. So what? When she went back in, she infected the house. You know, she infected the house. She completely. And then guess what? It just all went to shambles. After that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that scripture first. This is Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." See, and iron rust it rusts by oxidizing, by oxygen. So this is it's basically inevitable for iron to rust. So guess what? This devil, especially Esau Edom, you know, he's gonna show his wickedness. And guess what? He's gonna use every tactic to try to get try to get to you. That's spiritual demon saying I'm talking about. He might use your woman, your kids, anything to get to you, anything to disrupt what you got going on. Anything to disrupt your household. So that means you have to be very. And guess what? You have to. In the movie, they show that if you reject it, they'll flee. So that's another script. That's another scripture that says what? Resist the devil and he shall flee. Let me go ahead and grab that right quick. This is James chapter 4, verse 7. It says, "Submit yourself therefore to Yahweh, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." See? So you can't just be you can't be partaking in how can I say, you gotta be partaking into this type of world, this type of lifestyle, man. All right. If something doesn't seem off, if something seems, you have to have a spiritual eye to judge matters. If something seems off, if something don't seem right, then just get away from it. Don't deal with it. Turn from it. It says submit yourself unto Yahweh, man. That means you have to have a spiritual eye to know when a situation calls for you to retreat or calls for you to back up. If you try to deal with a woman and this woman doesn't seem right, she just seems a little off, and the spirit's telling you, hey, don't deal with this woman. Don't deal with her, man, because she might be more trouble than what she's worth. Or let's say you go, you pull up to a gas station and it's just some guys standing, some fucking guys standing up at the door, a whole bunch of cars around. You just don't feel, just something right. You feel like something finna pop off. Then man, hey, go to another gas station. Leave. Even when Satan comes against you, even when Satan tempts you with certain things, certain lusts, certain desires that you have, certain things that he know you won't, you have to double check it. Matter of fact, seek counsel. That's the best way right there. Seek counsel. Ask another brother. Cast a lot. Really see if Yahweh Bashem Yashai is with you with this decision. And if it's not something that's gonna better you in this truth, then guess what? Resist it. Flee from it. Get away from it. Because that might be the thing that pulls you out the truth. And then guess what? It's not going to be worth it at that point, So the scripture says what? Verse 10, it says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so to his wickedness." Though he humble himself and go crouching, and that's exactly what the guys did in the movie, man. They humbled themselves. They went they tried to bring we were because and then another aspect of the movie is they dwelled on race a lot. They dwelled on because it was actually back in the 1930s. That's when the movie portrayed back in the 1930s, and they tried to play on that race card a lot. Like, we're all the same. We're not bigots, or we're not racist, or we're not part of the Klan or nothing like that. They tried to play on that heavy, but the Jake still wasn't trusting them. So though they go crouching, so they go humble themselves, and really, to be honest, secretly in their hearts, they really wanted to kill everybody. Matter of fact, they said that in the movie. They said, "We're gonna kill all y'all," And so it says, "Yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou wipe a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been to altogether wiped away." See, so he secretly had in his heart that he wanted to get rid of these people. He wasn't actually coming in to have a good time, to be joyful, to add. No, what he was coming to divide, conquer, and destroy, just like a devil. That's why I said you never trust them, man. And that was the fall of us when we was ruling in the Holy Roman Empire, man. Our fall was what starting to bring Esau into the military. You know, all started with John Arcanus. You know, him bringing Esau in. You know, Esau getting into the royal family, and then eventually that led to our downfall because what we trusted enemy. You know, we took Esau out of that parverish state that he was in. You know, and show him manners, and then and then on top of that prophecy, prophecy had to happen. It says that in the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter. You know, he had to be loose for the little season. You know, and that's all where that all started from. You know, but in the movie, and there's another aspect I wanted. He used a woman to infiltrate to the club. He used a woman to do it. Just to show you, man, listen, the Satan, spiritual demon Satan, he can come by any aspect. You know, he can come by through a woman, through your children, through your family, especially your family, just to disrupt what you got going on. But in the movie, he used a woman to get in there, and she caused complete chaos. She made a whole bunch of people leave the club, which got them killed. You know. So it shows you, man, what you can't even sometimes trust the woman that you lay next to. You know, the only ones you can wholeheartedly trust is what them that serve Yahweh Bashim Yashai right alongside with you. You know, the brotherhood. That's why the brotherhood is so important, man. The fellow neighbor, your fellow commonwealth neighbor who serves Yahweh Bashim Yashai just as you do, man. Because what? They understand the scriptures as you do. They hold the scriptures the same as high esteem as you do. What are the two greatest commandments? What it says, what? Love the Lord with all thy body, heart, and spirit. And what? Love your neighbor as in the second one as is the first, where you love your neighbor as yourself. You know? So your fellow brother next to you, guess what? He's gonna uphold the same integrity that you uphold if he's a true brother. Now, if he's a nigga, he's a spy. If Esau's using him, then guess what? He's going to get found out. You know? He's going to get found out. And he has a swift destruction coming from him, from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You know? And when the woman did her deed, they tried to use Jake to go in there. But at that point, it was already, they already had, they was already kind of, what's it called? They was already kind of weary. You know, they just seen this woman just cause us mischief and having. They was like, what the hell was going on? You know, so when Jay tried to come in, even he was possessed by a demon. You know, they was already weary of it. They was like, what's going on? You know, what the hell? Like, they was already kind of like, they was circumspect really because they was watching. You know, and then it turned out what Jake was a demon. You know, and at that point they was already sealed in their mind that they were they were being attacked. You know. Trying to think. There was another scripture I wanted to get to. Oh man, what was it? Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, Satan should get an advantage of us. Hold on, let me see. Can I start up? Yeah, I'm gonna just start from 11, get straight to the point. It says, least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. See? So guess what? We understand the wiles of Satan. We understand the wiles of the devil, and we have what? The capability to withstand him. We have Yahweh Bashim Yashah, and we have the scriptures. We have the power of this. We have the power of the scriptures. We have the power of prayer. We have the power of fasting. We have Yahweh Bashim Yashah on our side, man. So when something doesn't seem right, if you're not unsure about something, then brothers, pray about it. Ask another brother about it. Seek counsel. Scripture says what? Do nothing without counsel. It's like you bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna get this one. This is Sirach chapter 6, verse 23. Give ear, my son, and receive my counsel, and refuse not and receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel. You know? So, receiving advice and getting counsel, especially from a man of the Lord, is always good, you know? So if a man of the Lord is giving you counsel, um, or giving you advice, adhere to it and refuse it not. You know. There was also hold on. Checking Yvonne. Bible shop. Bear with me for just 1 second. If I can find it, cool. If not, I'm gonna just go ahead and go to the next point I want to make. I have not shunned to declare unto you all the yeah, I'm drawing a blank on where it's at. Yeah. Oh well. All right. I'm gonna get to my next point. My next point was now in the whole entire movie there was it was this boy. It was this boy that basically had a spiritual eye. He had he had a strong spirituality about him, and Satan desired to have him. You know, and it reminded me when I was watching the movie. It reminded me when Yahweh Shah told Peter. He said Satan desires to have you. You know, and what is Satan's job? All right, what is spiritual demon Satan? What is his job to do? Is to what? Test you to see are you truly about what you believe in, you know? So guess what? Satan's gonna send you a test. He's gonna try you, you know? He's gonna see are you truly about what you believe? Are you truly about Yahweh Bashim Yahushua? You know? And Satan might tempt you with some things, man. You know? But it's up to you to reject all of that, because we have the example of who? Yahweh Shah. When Satan came to Yahweh Shah and tempted Yahweh Shah with everything, what did Yahweh Shah do? He combated him with scriptures and he resisted him. And eventually what? He fled. Satan fled. Spiritual demon Satan fled from him. You know? That's our weapon against this, against Satan, man. Is the scriptures. But what? In the movie, man, he desired to have that boy. He said, I want him. He said, it's something about him. He said, you're singing, you know? Oh man, it just dawned on me. His singing, the Satan one, because he can sing, you know? He wanted, he said, he actually offered, he said, y'all give me him, the rest of y'all can live. We want him. Because what? He had a beautiful voice in singing, you know? Not shouldn't, you know, some brothers already caught on what I'm already putting down, you know? What is the music, you know? What is the song, you know? So Satan don't really care about what 2/3. Satan really don't care about 2/3. He already got them. But what he trying to shift, you know, a so-called believer. He trying to shift a guy who's calling upon Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, who's singing that song, you know. Matter of fact, let me get that piped. Paul, come on now. I think I spelled plow. Piped. This is Matthew 11 and 17. It says, and said, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. It says, we have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented, you know? So what pipe goes into let's look that up. Because pipe goes into an instrument. All right. It's like a flute almost. Yep. Like a flute. It says to play a pipe, to play a flute. So, our songs, we have piped and you're not dancing to it, man. Because guess what? You truly don't understand this thing. See, a man of understanding, a man of the Lord, he's going to hear the song the melody we're playing, and he's going to dance. He's going to shimmy. He's going to move his feet, and he's going to enjoy it. And he's going to love it. And guess what? That's who Satan is desired to get. The ones who actually know, 2/3 of Jake, Satan don't, Satan already got these guys out here, he already got them. So he doesn't desire to have them, but he wants to shift you, So that's why, man, you have to be always spiritual, man, walking constantly and being circumspect, because Satan is on your tail. Best believe Satan knows who you are, and he's constantly looking to shift you by any means necessary. That's why you gotta double back twice as hard, constantly staying prayed up, constantly fasting, constantly making videos, constantly watching videos, constantly staying in the scriptures. That's the tools that we have. And guess what? That's the only tools that we have. We can't come toe to toe with Satan, spiritual demon Satan or physical, or even Esau Edom. We can't come physically to him, man. Everything is what? Spiritual. And we have to keep it spiritual. All right. So that's my intake on it. That's my review on the movie. Like I said, it's a very, nice movie to watch. I highly recommend brothers go watch it. It's the movie is called Sinners again. It's in theaters now. Or if you have a Fire Stick broken, you can watch it on your Fire Stick or whatever. But all right, well, Lord will help this viewer is edifying. Until next time, shalom.